County Board of Supervisors to order. First things first, we have public comments. I have 3 people who signed up. If you're actually truly to speak to the public, there will be public hearings. There'll be public hearings for the next special use permits and a rezoning. If it is truly just a public comment, you can just go from it. So at the time, I call Michael Hebner.
Hello again.
3 minutes for an individual, 5 minutes for an
individual. It is me only. Michael Hebner, 11468 8 Isle Road, Albert, Virginia. Hey, first of all, thank you guys. Y'all had the budget session. That stinks to have to go through all that and months worth of work, and everybody always wants more. Thank you for making those decisions, and we always want to give more money. We always want to. But thank you for looking out for the taxpayers of Nelson County. And a reminder that budgets reflect priorities, and you guys gave $1 million more to the school system than previous. So thank you for that. For the school board budget, I love what Ernie said today about being able to maybe have some contact with the board and being able to maybe have some influences on the pay scales and stuff, because the school board budget, the priority is new teachers. And as of last year, 60% of the teachers were new or newer between the first 10 years. And then the salary scale doesn't match up, and they're going to leave. So they're always, if you want the best for Nelson County, they always refurbish new teachers, and new teachers are awesome. But at some point, we got to keep the ones that we train and that we get to know and get to know our kids. But that's all I want to do is just thank you guys for what you're doing, and if we can do anything, let us know. Thanks.
Mark Franklin.
I'm going to ask you to bear with me. I'm close to 3 minutes here. Mark Franklin from 723 Shavers Hollow Lane. I also agree there should be a sense of priority when considering the allocation of our tax dollars. What bigger priority could we have than tomorrow, our future, and the development of the youth, whom are that future? It is possible that you have underfunded the school. My hands-on experience says the Parks and Rec Department is understaffed and underfunded. Just last week, the office was closed due to staffing shortages. This should not be hard to understand when they have 2 full-time employees, and the priority of the department seems to be maintaining tourist attractions for the visitors instead of programs for the residents and the development of our youth. What will it take to bring baseball back to Nelson County? What will it take to put a set of soccer goals on a field we played soccer on for years? So we don't have difficulty sharing one field, competing for the field and practice times. What will it take to use the school board property funded by the taxpayer at Rockfish Elementary we currently do not have access to through Parks and Rec? Everyone wants to discuss more money to the school board. Maybe they need to do what Parks and Rec has to do, sharpen their pencil and figure it out. I think we should start with $1 million in Parks and Rec's budget. Maybe someone needs to care and make something happen. You gentlemen had a chance to generate revenues for the county from the very product of the county. You voted down the opportunity to create funds for your residents from the very visitors who come here to spend money. The visitors that we share our county with, the public places, roads, and cleanup actor, and our tax dollars that haul their trash away. In the very same time you turned down these revenues, you also turned down the request for funds from the educators of our children, and you took money from Parks and Rec and decreased our budget. A department full of shortfalls due to a lack of budget, you decreased the budget further. I guess the gates will remain locked on the Lions field and the weeds will grow. Kids will risk injury and practice in the dark because it goes so late. Or mispractice because a makeup game takes priority over my team's practice. Sad realities. A second field is too much to ask for. Rockfish School has fields for days, and the Parks and Rec, the county residents, the taxpayer, do not have access to it. Kids need something to look forward to get into, bond with their peers, and help them focus in their development. development of character, the drive and will to overcome the odds, a positive mentality to succeed, get up and go energy to get out and do, professionalism, sportsmanship, and when you don't get the results you want, you get back up and come back stronger. I don't believe they teach that in school. As a volunteer coach, these are the qualities I look to instill in my team. I'm asking you to meet us halfway and help us provide a ball field. We need another set of goals. These should be your goals to shoot for. What we currently have is sadly very inadequate, and we should not have to wait another season of missed opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bill Piercy.
William Piercy, 608 Fortunes Cove. Just like to reiterate my opposition to the arc cut idea on the intersection at 29 and Park Street. Yeah, there was maybe a little bit of confusion when you read the newspaper. It said that Board of Supervisors had approved of that idea. Maybe it was just a little bit of confusion. But I would just wondered if there was going to be a correction or a follow-up on that story where it's not just approval of the idea, but just going to study it some more. Well, as I told you in the email, I said, yeah, I went down there and I saw that arc cut in action in there in North Carolina on West Holly Springs Road, and it's a mess. I don't think we want to bring it to Nelson County. I want to thank Mr. Youngblood. He responded to my emails right promptly and thoroughly, and hope that we continue that dialogue. We've come up with something either better or leave it alone like it is. Don't make it worse. That's all I'm asking. Just don't make it worse. It'd be nice if it was full access. You know, wave that flag every person. Because I'm gonna keep on talking to you. Full access is over bypass. Just let them keep on going. And while I do have a few seconds left, we need to get that 60 miles an hour sign moved. It's right there on the, like a drag strip tree, ready to start. You can't get 60 miles an hour from that stoplight in 100 whatever it is. But what it does, it encourages people to run the light, don't it? You see 60 miles an hour, you think you can get 60 miles an hour and you can get under that yellow light. You know, that makes it dangerous. It needs to change, nothing else. Well, I know there's a lot of other things more important to talk about, but that intersection there is going to be there for a long, long time. Let's don't mess it up worse than it is, you know. Am I not close yet?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Let's see, what else we talk about?
Maybe 5-second warning. Keep going.
Yeah. I did want to say something about our political prisoners in D.C. that we ought to be writing some kind of a statement. That's all right. Being together for our patriots up there. All right, appreciate y'all.
3 seconds to spare. See you, Bill. Thank you. All right, moving on in the agenda. We have some public hearings. We'll start with special use permit number 657 Conference Center. And it looks like we have some lovely artwork here on display.
One sec. Let me get my wallet. You guys ready for me?
Let's do it.
Okay. So this is for special use permit number 657.
This is for a conference center at the existing Livingston Winery. It is at 885 Freshwater Cove Lane. That makes it in the West District. They're on 55.763 acres and zoned agriculture. The property owners are William and Shelley Riley. They're also represented by Wes Roberts. I don't know if he's here tonight because he is. All right, the property is currently home to Livingston Winery. It is a farm winery and has been in operation since 2006. The current owners are proposing to construct a 2,048 square foot barn to be used primarily for wine storage and on-site wine sales. The secondary use requested is for an event space for private groups, including weddings and corporate meetings. Because it's going to be used for events, this makes it a special use permit. A conference center is defined in the zoning ordinance as a facility for hosting public and/or private events, including but not limited to weddings, receptions, social events or parties, workshops, and/or conferences, and is used as a venue for social, recreational, and/or educational activities. It also may include lodging accommodations. And so there's no lodging accommodations in this structure itself, but they do have lodging elsewhere on the property that's existing. There's no floodplain. VDOT is working on an access upgrade with them. VDOT, they're working directly with the health department. If they exceed 10,000 square feet of disturbance, they will need to get an erosion and sediment control plan approved. And in the comprehensive plan, the area is designated as rural and farming, which would promote agricultural uses and compatible open space uses, but discourage large-scale residential development and commercial development that would conflict with agricultural uses. The rural and farming district would permit small-scale industrial and service uses that complement agriculture. In the Planning Commission meeting, they recommended it for approval, 4-0, no conditions.
Great, would the applicant like to come up and say hi?
Sure would.
Livingston Winery. So you
Yes,
guys
sir.
are the new folks.
We are, yeah. We're happy to be here. My name's Wes Roberts, 1091 Freshwater Cove. My wife Tessa. Bill and Shelley couldn't be with us today. They're in Cincinnati with their family, with our grandparents. Yeah, we're excited to be here. We took over the winery in August. Tessa and I moved here from Wyoming in October, and we're living on site and learning the farm, learning the wine world, learning about Nelson County. We've visited here for a while. As Tessa's parents are residents here in Acton for the last 7 or 8 years, and we've loved it here, so we're just excited to be here. Since we took over, we've seen a pretty significant uptick in business at the winery. The previous owners kind of had it as a passion project. They opened maybe 2 days a week max. They closed for 3 or 4 months of the year. It was just kind of something they did for fun. We're doing it for our livelihood. So we're open a little bit more frequently. We're seeing more traffic. We're marketing a little more through social media, and as a result, we're seeing more folks joining our wine club, visiting on property, enjoying the wine that we produce there. And the little tasting room we have is not quite enough space for it. So we're hoping to be able to expand a little bit with a kind of a barn pavilion. It's not a fully insulated barn. It's just got a bunch of big old sliding doors on it. But an area that we can protect our customers outside from the elements. Right now, most of our seating is outdoors, so it's worked well in the summer, but when we have to shift inside, we don't have a whole lot of space if we've got a big crowd there. So this would help alleviate that. Also gives us the opportunity for some multi-purpose use with our wine club, hosting some private events with them, maybe something with our winemaker, educational things, really wherever we can go with it down the road. And then from an event perspective, the occasional wedding as well to help support the business. And but keeping it small, because we know where we are on Freshwater Cove. We like our neighbors, they like us, and we don't want to be too loud and obnoxious. We don't want to be too busy. We want to be just busy enough. So that's where we're at.
Thank you, sir. Yep, go to the public hearing, we'll call you back up. Sounds great. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
All right, open the public hearing reference to special use permit 657 Conference Center, Livingston Winery, Freshwater Cove. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak to this? Okay, hearing none. We close the public hearing section of this. Does anybody have any questions for staff or the applicant at this time?
I have a question for staff.
Okay.
So if we were to pass this with no conditions, would it be possible for the applicant or a subsequent owner of the property to build this out to include lodging or to include other things allowed under this without having to come before this board?
If you don't put any conditions on it, yes, you can put a condition on it that this approval is, in conjunction with the approved site plan for specifically what's being proposed tonight, or any other condition you might want to add. Any future additions to this would typically need some kind of site plan amendment or minor site plan, but that could be an administrative approval and might not necessarily come back to you guys. So it's up to you on how you want to handle it.
Any other questions for staff? All right. Well, I have to say, as a representative of Livingston, I represent across the street from you. So Livingston Winery's not quite there yet. But I've frequented there for a long time, and the prior owners have kept a very nice establishment. And of course, I'm supportive of this and look forward to this being a thriving part of the, someone earmarked at the 29 Loop the other day on social media. And I think this could be a very great addition to trying to alleviate some of the burdens from 151 to this side of the county. It's beautiful. We got beautiful views back there. Of my district, of course, David. But at this time, any other questions for staff of the applicant?
I have a question for the applicant. So in theory, if we were to approve this with conditions that limited it to the scope that you proposed as of today, that means that if you ever wanted to build it out, you'd have to come before us again and ask for additional SUP. That's something you'd be comfortable with? 100%. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and, Ms. Barr, this is in your district.
Yes. So, what do you think? How would we work?
I don't think you need to look at it on here. It meets everything. If people ask for everything today, you stay. I see no reason to limit it and make them come back or something.
Well, for instance, they have not included lodging in their application. But if we approve the special use permit without conditions, it would allow them to create lodging on the site with only an administrative approval from planning and zoning. It wouldn't come before us.
I won't have a problem with that.
But am I mistaken, isn't there lodging already on site? Isn't that what you said?
Applicants.
Yeah, we just address the lodging.
Yeah, we have a couple, there's three homes on the property. One of the homes Tessa and I reside in, the other, the Airbnb, the other two.
That restriction from doing anything else with the special use permit.
I'm sorry?
That restricts, that's all the houses we can put there without a special use permit.
But if we approve this, it would allow him to add additional lodging in the structure that he's looking to build there.
Well, depends on how many acres it is, it tells you how many structures you can
How many
have.
acres do you have?
There's 63, so give or take.
Yeah. Great to take up.
Just under 12.
I just want to be sure that what you're applying for and what you're getting are the same, and we're not giving you additional things on the special use permit that you may not be interested in doing, unless you are interested in doing them, in which case, we would have a chance to look at it again.
Sure. And at the moment, we have no interest in anything beyond what we have. Obviously, you can't look too far down the road because we're over our head with what we're doing already. Getting into the wine world for the first time, so.
I'd like to see.
But this plan doesn't, we're not here to stop future things to get you approved with asking for.
I agree. If we give him what he's asking for, then we can do that and at the same time limit things that he's not asking for that either he or a subsequent owner would be able to do without, without coming back.
I heard there has been one negative thing, and all one good proof. I don't know if any negative thing has heard any of them.
I'm just bringing it up. No, it's important that we understand what we're doing here.
I think you should have the right to do a good bit on there, because we need Freshwater Cove to be a nice new functional spot and forest spot, but we gotta do motions and whatnot, so you guys.
I assure you this will help bring people down south and off the 151.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we like to hear.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve special use permit 657 Conference Center for Livingston Winery at 885 Freshwater Cove Lane.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's do a roll call vote.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes. Now, there's a caveat. We'll see y'all in like an hour and a half now. On a serious note, we would like to have opportunity to come, meet you guys at some point on the farm. Welcome you to the community and see how we can.
Love that.
All right, well, great. Thank you so much. Let's move on to item B, rezoning number 658 R1 residential to B1 business. And the artwork is great also. Thanks. Emily, that's your.
Ready for me?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a rezoning number 658. This is for 12 Variety Mills Road in the South District. It is currently zoned R1, but as you guys I'm sure you know, it has a convenience store on it. It's been non-conforming for a long time. It's already used commercially. They're proposing to rezone it to B1, both to bring it into conformance, but they also want to have a Santa's workshop, which I'll get into. So the applicant is Hunter Woodson. The property owners are Virginia Purvis, Martha Mars, and Doris Stimson. There is an existing convenience store at this property. It has been open since long before the zoning ordinance was established, so it's non-conforming. The applicant is requesting to rezone this property from R1 to B1. It would bring the existing non-conforming use and structure into compliance. It would also allow them to have an office space and a Santa's workshop. There were no proffers submitted with this request. It is not in the floodplain. No comments from VDOT. They will need to get regular health department permits. It is located in an area designated secondary light industrial in the comprehensive plan. The light industrial development model combines both industrial uses and an activity center of residences, shops, and amenities that support the nearby industries, all within a walkable, clearly defined area. The activity center offers uses in support of industry. Single-family and multifamily residents provide a diversity of affordable housing types. Commercial uses include convenience stores, restaurants, a neighborhood-scale grocery store, drugstores, banks, and hardware stores. The commercial establishments serve not only the employees of the industries, but the truck drivers who are needed to support the industries and the families who reside in the activity center. Appropriate civic uses included parks, churches, recreation fields, and over time, a school or branch library. The Planning Commission recommended approval 4-0. Any questions?
Applicant, Honor?
Hello, my name is Hunter Woodson from 1931 Variety Mills Road, Arrington, Virginia, and coming to you today so that you can approve my newest venture with the Blue Ridge Christmas Cottage. If you remember, I come before you last year and we got the tree, and it had the largest tree lighting that we've ever had. Usually we get 40, 60 people. Last year we got 200. Bringing more people out and having more things to do in the area for the children and locally rather than going out of the county to do it, and bring other folks in. As most of you know, And you wouldn't believe it looking at me now, but I am a professional storytelling Santa Claus. When I'm dressed, even most people think I'm 70 years old. And to do what that I'm going to do happened a long time ago in Richmond at Millen Road's department store. And he had people come from 250 miles around back in the 30s and 40s. If you lived within a 250-mile radius, Bill Struthers was your Santa Claus. He had covert communications, which we're planning on getting. And I plan to do something that's large scale in the future, but to start off small right now with the rezoning to be able to use one of the old hickory sheds at the property right now. So families may book it. Some families, you know, the enticing for them if they have children with special needs or, you know, that can't handle the bright lights and loud noises and things like that.
Great, thank you, Hunter.
You're welcome.
All right, I now open the public hearing for rezoning number 658 R1 residential to B1 business. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to that? Hearing and seeing none, I close the public hearing related to rezoning number 658 R1 residential to B1. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the area, and, you know, there's a lot of business in that area. You would not think so, but there are. And I think it would be beneficial to the area to have it zone B1. It's a good idea in the long run.
Make a motion.
I make a motion to
All right.
accept.
Mr. Barton gives a motion to rezoning 658 R1 to B1. Second, Mr. Harvey. Any discussion? Here, no discussion. We'll do roll call vote.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Barton? Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to special use permit 659 campground one site. Emily.
All right, so the owners, applicants aren't able to make it tonight. I can call them if needed. They're on standby. If you have any questions for them. This is an application for a one-site campground. We've had a few of these come up in the past. This is at 2975 North Fork Road. It's in the West District. And they're zoned A1 agriculture. Owners are Charlotte and Scott Fluharty. The property currently contains a single-family dwelling that the owners utilize as a weekend home for recreational activities. The owners are requesting to construct a 192 square foot platform to place a 120 square foot canvas tent on to be utilized as a short-term rental. It is zoned A1. There is some floodplain on this property. Surrounding zoning is A1. No comments from VDOT. They have nothing to add to this. No comments from the health department. The property is located in an area designated rural and farming in the comprehensive plan, just like the previous application. Would promote agricultural uses and compatible open space uses, but discourage large-scale residential development and commercial development that would conflict with agricultural uses. The rural and farming district would permit small-scale industrial and service uses that complement agriculture. And the Planning Commission recommended approval with the condition that only one tent site be permitted.
Okay. After he's not here, now let's go on and move to the public hearing. I open that public hearing for special use permit number 659 campground one site. Anyone here wish to speak to that? Hearing none, I close the public hearing for special use permit 659 campground one site. I guess this is in your district, David?
Yes, sir.
One site, the planning commission did give it what we call it, a condition for one site. I think that's probably been pretty consistent with what we've been doing. Any questions for staff or any motions y'all want to make?
I don't understand it. You just approve it as it is without all this other crap. The most they could put there would be two in it.
Just one.
Just one.
Well, what if they add, if we approve it straight out?
Well, so all they have right now is just one house that they live in, right? And they want to be able to have one tent site that they can rent out to people. So there's nothing existing. They just want to be able to have one site that they can rent out. And so, technically that fits our definition of a campground, which triggers a special use permit. It would be limited to that one site. If you decide to keep the condition, if you don't decide to keep the condition, they could potentially have more sites. I don't know. They could potentially have more campsites, pending other approvals, but they're only asking for the one.
Most take advantage too, isn't
They can't have any.
They can't have camping is not a by right thing.
it?
Campground
And
is.
that's why we've had a few of these in the past year or two.
Yeah.
We've had a few different one-site campground applications, or just two sites sometimes, because people want to be able to just have one or two campsites, but the only way we have to permit it is by special use permit.
That's good for campsite. Want to be glad.
No, just one, unless we give them a condition that they could have two.
Yeah, but they're just asking.
They're just asking for one. All right. Do we have any motions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve special use permit 659 campground on site as amended with the planning commission's condition of only one tent site permitted.
Got it. All right. Since we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All right, second, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's move on to roll call vote.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Rutherford?
Yes. All right, so moving into the last piece, is there any other business the board wishes to bring up this time? Hearing none, let's get a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion from Ms. Parr, is there a second?
Second.
Hold on.
The one other thing we're supposed to do.
No, this is it. We done did it all. Second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions, objections, hearing none, thank you guys. I'm sad to say we didn't meet the planning commission.
Yeah, I mean, I could put that up.
We would have moved